And 70% of the thing was basically IT. And what does that mean? It means that you had instead of having your opponent playing the rigging role, this it was the IBC itself who was supposed to be the referee who were playing the role, and that is why it found all these people off guard. You see, the way Azimio thought that they had the numbers, it is like if the people are with us, who can be against us? That was the attitude on Azimio. You remember the overconfidence that they had? That was the attitude. Now, the other side believed that the person who matters is the one who conducts the elections and the one who counts the votes. Is the one who matters. Now, how the Supreme Court played into their hands, I don't understand, but it is quite clear that the Supreme Court itself was compromised. Yeah. And I think some people even inclined that the Supreme Court ruling was not their own ruling, it was somebody else's ruling that they read there. It may well be true. But nevertheless, you see these revelations. And one thing about the internet,
Bye bye, guys. See you later. See you in 20 minutes.
Okay, Pagon, asante.
you see, what I was saying that is that I've been very cautious about going into the Facebooks and these kind of things because I realize that whatever goes into the internet can never be erased, can never be deleted. There is almost nothing. We are all helpless about it, and that is why I think now Azimia are so confident in what they are saying. They are telling you what they have themselves witnessed. Eh? Now, if you doubt it, do that audit they are telling you to do. Mhm. You see, you can't have a situation whereby the person who is conducting our elections, where there is a lot of public interest, starts telling you that because of intellectual rights, we can't open the server. Really? And the Supreme Court bought that. It is worrying. How can the Supreme Court buy that idea that because of our intellectual rights, we can't show you what is lying in the server for purposes of deciding such a high stake election? Uh-huh. Now, a lot. The matter here is now the way forward. Now, you see, these fellows have taken a legal approach to this issue. The so-called whistleblowers are now known to the right authorities who can protect them. And if you doubt what they are saying, they have told you where they are, they have told you where they are coming from, they have told you. I'm told they are even saying that they have form by form. Before the forms were posted to the portal, all that record, they have it. So how do you move forward?
So this whistleblower amejitangaza ama amesemaje?
Yes. And you have had sometimes some sensitive things are normally allowed to be said, but in camera.
So who amejitangaza kwa nani? Because if he's depending on the Kenyan government, they'll get rid of him.
No, who will get rid of him?
The
And
government.
I don't think, by the way, I don't think it is one person. This kind of revelations, you cannot accomplish it working one person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because
si watawafyeka wote,
who?
the government.
No, you can't touch them. You can't touch them. Of course, I understand that they have been spending the entire 36 hours at IEBC
Who? The government trying to pin.
trying to pin down the possible culprits. They can actually, they might eventually. But you see, in situations like this, what you do is that you make sure you go public. Going public with something like this is the best protection.
Yes, going public is the best protection.
Yeah.
Going public is shouting is now the best protection.
I
So
agree.
yeah, that is the only way to be protected, because now hakuna mtu unajua hata sasa what Ruto said about Chebukati, he may have been planning something about that man. But now that we are also beginning to interpret the other way around, that you are telling us someone tried to harm Chebukati, but remember, we do not trust you. So on that note, Chebukati may be safe. Okay, Asante, Michael Ngigi, yes, they can see me. I mean, this thing is on YouTube. It's very clear on YouTube. Anasema ati haoni vizuri, atuoni picha, lakini naona Michael Ngigi ameconfirm they can see us clearly. So maybe it's your connection was poor and that has a challenge. So I know script, you're saying a good thing. So the best thing is to go public.
Is to go public.
is to
And
go
that's
public,
why sometimes when you find that you are being followed secretly,
yeah,
that's why most people take the route to say that, you know what, my life is in danger. And normally when you make such a report to the police,
yeah,
something they don't tell you is that they list down all the danger from who. You know, you have heard everybody say sometimes you may find, for example, Kenyans saying that my life is in danger.
yeah.
And they stop there. Normally, when you go to the police, you don't stop there. You tell them that my life is in danger. My suspect number one is Julia, anafanya hivi. The other day, alifuatilia mimi, tracking me. All that is there. But for public consumption, it doesn't go beyond that. But at least then they know if Julia was really trying to eliminate Kenyan, you have no choice. You'll have to hesitate.
And even when, there's a time I had an experience, Kuse, when I was in Kirinyaga, that someone began texting me that the days of Mungiki, that wewe ndio mnaongea juu ya wazee, walikuwa najita wazee, wewe ndio unaongelea maneno ya wazee, tunataka utulipe na mbuzi. Some kind of harassment, cyber harassment.
That is blackmail or what?
Yes, blackmail. And they wanted money from me. And because Kirinyaga was invested with Mungiki, I was really terrified, unknown script. And because walikuwa wanakuja kwa boma yako, wanakuitisha mbuzi, wanakuitisha pesa, wanakuitisha msichana wako, your daughter by force. That's what they were doing. So I didn't even know who to trust. I didn't know where to go to the police, because the police nearby were also terrified. Ukienda kwa polisi, huyo polisi anaambiwa tutakujia kichwa yako. So what I decided, I simply got into a matatu and went to Nairobi CID headquarters, and the CID just took my phone, and they know how to track which message is coming from where. I had not, those messages were intact. I had not deleted them, and within a very short time, they traced the number was in committee. The caller was in committee. Maxima is just a swindler. A swindler. And as soon as they traced, I didn't receive any further text messages or calls, and that was the end. Unknown script.
Well, you know how these things work, is that this technology, that I started by saying that internet is a very tricky thing. That you cannot permanently hide. Where the internet originated. For example, take this Google, whatever it is. That person can decide to control the entire world, because you can do it that, but so long if you are a person of interest, there is nowhere to hide. There is nowhere to hide. Now, you see the way the Kenyan elections were rigged. If these people bother to check, which I think they have done, they have checked where did Smartmatic come from. I don't want to say here, but that is a very, very good leading place. Where did Smartmatic come from? You remember at one point the CEO there was being interviewed, how they conducted the biddings, the tenders, and who was the winner, isn't it? You remember? And that upon choosing Smartmatic, there were very many issues about failed flaws on that system in other countries where they have been.
Yes. Now,
And,
before you go on,
and
in
he was denying
in
that they didn't know.
no, they knew a no script. My friend is a Filipino. These people did an election in a Filipino that in Philippines that totally failed. Do you remember that?
Yes. I remember that. Now, I don't want to say here, but I already said part of the reason personally why I don't appear here is because I may be tempted to say things I don't want to say. But if you know where mathematics came from and how they ended up in Kenya, it was through a neighboring country. Mm. And as I've told you, you see the rigging professionals decided to use non-Kenyans. And what made their work so easy is the fact that they would remotely access and do whatever they wanted to. Do you see how dangerous it is? Now, when you want to track them and ask them to open the servers so that you can do an audit, they tell you that their intellectual rights would be infringed. And the decision of the Supreme Court was almost 70% hanging on opening of the server. They decided to let go. It is very strange. Talk about a compromised Supreme Court. It is like our Supreme Court judges did not remember what happened in 2007 when people didn't have faith in the courts. Now, with that ruling of theirs, there's a time point I said here that they have taken us back to 2007. Come 2027, anybody who will have issues will not go to court. Don't be surprised. So where will that leave the so-called Supreme Court? Then the other thing is that you see this so-called 2010 Constitution. It was a big improvement over the old one, but it has serious flaws. Serious flaws. You see the way it was imported from the US into Kenya and what have you. In Kenya, all the states are responsible for their own revenues. I hope you're aware of that.
In Kenya?
In Kenya, the revenues is KRA. KRA is national government. You see the big difference. And that's why you find your governors stay at watafanya kazi na serikali, watafanya, because as much as we call them governors, devolution or whatever it is, they are still 65% to 70% dependent on national government.
So where do they take they have little tax to collect? Because like now here in the US we have state tax and federal tax.
Yes. You see, for example, VAT, for example, that is federal, isn't it?
Yes.
Now, the way they do it here is such that the systems are so advanced that the moment you check out from the store, you pay the store person their share and the tax, the 1%, like here where I am, it is only 1%. It goes straight to the IRS, straight. If you remember what happened to Nakumatt, for years and years they had failed to remit tax. They are collecting tax, but they were not remitting. They were collecting tax, but they were not remitting for years and years. Now here, these major stores, major taxpayers, the moment you swipe your card, the payment for my goods goes to the owner, the seller, the tax straight goes to IRS. The return you do is merely a reconciliation, and they use it to verify, to check what had happened, reconciliation. So their tax collection is very, very different. Now in Kenya, those so-called governors depend entirely on the central government. Now take, for example, the so-called 15%, which these people wanted to increase to 35%. That 15%, the disbursement, who is in charge? It is the central government. And that is why I said here at one point, you realize that, I think what it was in Kenyaga, for a long time you realize that the governor there had problems paying the doctors. In fact, they had to sack some of the doctors who had gone on strike because they were not being paid. So in other words, as much as devolution says that you are entitled to 15%, we can frustrate disbursement mpaka there's nothing you can do. And that is why one of the reasons why those frustrations is one of the reasons why you find some governors say that wacha tu tufanye kazi na government. Because without them remitting what is rightfully yours, there is nothing you can do. You remember in the past, if you questioned development funds in parliament, what did the answer you get is that we'll do it when funds are available. Even now you can say, hey guys, where is my 15%? You know it comes only from taxes. So we respond by giving you the taxation revenue deficit that we had. That is why there are delays. So what do we end up doing? We end up giving you the recurrent budget to pay salaries only. And even that, from the example of the doctors not being paid, you have realized they were choosing which counties they want to remit what and which counties they delay. So to a good extent, more than 50% of the operations at the county government still are dependent entirely on how efficient or how promptly the national government would support them where the law says they should support. Then secondly, you remember this idea about some of the things like to do with the judiciary and what have you. A number of these counties are not very well served with the network, the infrastructure. A good example this time around is maneno ya schools. I wonder how they are going to do it. Because all those schools are not very well. See, education is still a national government thing. So, some counties are well off, others are not. Now, I think CBC has basically been scrapped. Or what's going on?
What do you mean scrapped? Nimesikia watoto wanaenda sijui bado wanabaki huko primary, sijui they are changing uniform.
You know, education requires a lot of morale. That morale, by people who have been dreaming to go to secondary, you push them back for another 2 years in primary.
And you know something, a non-script.
They psychologically be seriously affected. Uhuru's government was planning for this, and this man, anaitwa nani, Professor nani, Makoha, alikuwa he had begun constructing classrooms, and he was going around country financing at least construction of 2 classrooms. I mean, the government was getting ready for it. Sasa badala ya kumalizia hii wamefanya nini? Because they think they are doing Uhuru a favor. You know what these idiots are doing? Because watoto wa Uhuru wanasomea hizo shule, so they have dismantled everything. And first and foremost, these people, Kusea God, first and foremost, these people came in with a plan to loot the government. Unaona Kuseo, ni kama pengine mimi na kuangalilia kwako nikiwa mbali, naona Kuseo anaishi kwa nyumba kubwa, and probably hiyo nyumba there used to be this story. Let me use this story. Somebody gave me a story which I don't know whether she meant it. Unajua Luas, if you are a Lua unisamehe, I'm not trying to be tribal. Unajua kitambo ama sometime back Wajaluo walikuwa nao bibi wawili, or they still do. So she was telling me there is this friend of hers whose husband married a second wife, a younger one, a nurse. Sasa mama akona watoto wakubwa, wengine wako secondary, wako primary, lakini in Kikuyu we call her Gashungwa. Gashungwa amekuja. Gashungwa is a nurse. Si anaitwa Gashungwa.
Gashungwa is a Kikuyu word, but I think imekuwa Sheng. Gashungwa
fresh, young and fresh, or what?
Young and fresh, a nurse for that matter. So when she came in, huyu mama mkubwa she didn't complain, she welcomed her. And she said, I'm very happy to have you here as my co-wife, and you will feel welcome, and this is your family. Na hata watoto ni wetu na wewe. These children will be calling you mama. Akaanza huyu anarudi Monday from 2. He needs shopping. Huyu naye fee tunalipianga na mzee, tutagawana na wewe. Bili ya stima hatukulipa mwezi jama, utatusaidia. You know, she shared responsibility to that woman, and within no time the young girl took off. You know what the young girl was?
Wait a minute. See, that is how it still is. I don't think that is too much to ask.
You know what the girl was? The girl must have been admiring this husband and his beautiful home, and his beautiful wife and kids, and must have been thinking, I deserve to be there too and enjoy everything that is there. But when she got inside there, she found there was more responsibility in the marriage than the fun. Now these people, the Gachagwas and the Rutos and the others, wametamani sana kuwa kama Uhuru. Wanaona Uhuru akona bahati, baba alikuwa president, akazaliwa state house, amekuwa son of president, amekuwa president, he's beginning the whole country to run, and now they want to run the country. So now they are the presidency. They came in, ulikumbuka Gachagua alituambia atu amepata treasury hakuna pesa, that even the mice in treasury have nothing to eat, because they came in to loot. They have been thinking Uhuru has been enjoying so much looting. They have come in and found Uhuru has to plan within the meager income and pay teachers, children to school, take university students to school, pay the doctors, pay this, that, do projects. That is why Uhuru had a loan after. That's how ni kama wale Gachagua wameingia kwa boma ya Uhuru. Uhuru had too much on his back. No wonder Uhuru is quiet. Now they have realized it is not as a nice bed as they thought. Just as you go on a non-script, you tell me how they are going to take our children to school. I understand there's what we call capitalizing or something. We're using that word. You know what happens with the secondary school education, with the primary school education? The government of Kenya provides stationery. The government of Kenya pays for tuition. I mean, literally pays for tuition.
Is it software and hardware?
I don't know. They call it capitalizing.
You see, the infrastructure is what you refer to as the hardware.
But
the teaching fraternity, it basically will form the tuition. That will form the software.
Yeah, they have to. The government pays a lot. In fact, in one single school, they send millions of money, just one school, because iyo shule, like a secondary school. Once I worked in a secondary school and I knew the government sends this amount of money every year. They send money because the labs needs to run, the school needs equipment, supplies. Unaona, the school needs to buy exercise books, these notebooks for children. Watoto wanapewa notebooks for your information. So the government sends money for each child. Anasema hii shule iko na watoto 1,000. So each child should be funded with that amount of money. So, and nowadays the Kenyans, Uhuru and Matiang and I think Makoha introduced something. Those children have numbers that
is it what they were referring to as 100% transition or something?
Yes, 100% transition. They have then there's a names number. Those kids have the names number. This number unapata ukiwa primary na birth certificate, unaenda nayo mpaka high school. That is why it is so hard right now to transfer from one public school to another, because it's like you are being tracked because of this financing of the schools. Then besides doing all that, the government also pays the teachers, which is a big budget. You know, paying the teachers is a big. The teachers may be going to about 500,000. I mean, it's a big budget. So now, hii serikali ya Ruto, sijui kama Ruto when he was deputy president, he saw that. Maybe he thought there was too much money in treasury. Na ameingia na Njoroge amemwambia huku akuchekwi. Now, the governors need their part of the money, right? They do. Now, Ruto needs to show off with the project. So he's going around launching Uhuru's projects, saying that he is in Najenga. That man is too much stressed. He should quit like that Gashungwa. And there are non-scripts.
He should run, do a retreat.
Run for his dear life.
Lakini, with all these revelations, personally, I don't see Baba coming back so quickly.
What do you think Baba is doing in South Africa?
I don't want to speculate because I have a small idea about what he's doing, but I don't want to say here.
Okay, you better not talk about it.
Some fellows are
waiting to hear.
Are waiting to confirm their
wildest fears,
their imaginations,
their worst fears. Let me tell them, they are waiting to confirm their worst fears.
Take it like this.
Mm-hmm.
I heard, was it Kenya Kwanza saying that they know that organization that has come up with the dossier that the whistleblowers had released. But you know something? Those fellows, they managed to get everything. Then they started doing the work of IEBC. Some of the things they couldn't verify, some of the things they could verify. Now, they were able to see everything before they were, you remember these fellows were altering things, then they post onto the portal. Now, these fellows have everything intact, including they amended, they changed the ones onto the portal, plus what the originals are. Now, if they go by what the original numbers are, that's what they are telling you about the 8 and the 5. So even if you have a margin of error for the so-called, the ones they are saying they were not able to verify, they know the numbers involved there, and they know those numbers cannot overturn that win. Now, the biggest challenge here is now, what is the way forward? And personally, I think because people are like, we are waiting for Baba to come to tell us the way forward, isn't it? From my own assessment, Baba will not come until he is certain of the way forward.
Yes, and the way forward must not fail. That is why Baba.
No, the way forward must not fail, but it will also depend. You see, for me, so long as some level of talks are started, that would be good enough.
What do you mean level of talks? With the government?
I think I need Bernard to give me your number.
Okay, I can give you my number. We are just the two of you in the private chat.
Is it the African one or the
American one?
Okay.
I don't know what happens to my Safaricom.
But it is working. I'm Asla me. Give the number quickly before these people come.
So what happened to my Safaricom? See, I don't know. What happened to my Safaricom? Somewhere it stopped working because I had saved roaming, and I could even send messages from here, check my bank statement in my banks in Kenya with it.
You are not the first one. Most people have that problem.
Yeah, it stopped. It just stopped. And even my M-Pesa, I can't send you money now with my I used to use my M-Pesa right from my apartment right now here, and I could send people money with my M-Pesa. I could put money in my M-Pesa and do transactions, even transact with my bank in Kenya. But suddenly
don't worry, you will use my M-Pesa.
No, Kuseo. I won't use my your M-Pesa.
So long as I transmit a half.
Now, don't get that disease from Ruto.
I'll tell you how you can use your M-Pesa.
No, it's not my M-Pesa, it's my Safaricom line that is seems to have collapsed
Where is the number?
in private chat. The last one, not the 245, not the 254, not run by Bernard. Mine is the last one there.
See, I can see it. I can see it here.
You can see it, yeah? The last number.
I'll try it. Then you let me know if
Yeah.
it is the one.
So that is what happened to my Safaricom line. I have a bone to chew with Safaricom because my phone is the oldest Kuseo among the oldest 0722.
Yeah, even mine.
So what does Safaricom think by preventing one of their oldest customers?
Oh, it ends with 5524.
Yes.
What about the other one?
The other one, I don't know who that is.
Kenyan.
That is Bernard who posted that.
Because we prefer the other one.
The Kenyan one?
Yeah.
No, my Kenyan one is not working.
You better get one which is working. Even if somebody will make one for you and send to you.
I'll try to revive my Safaricom number. I'll go home one of these fine days and get it done.
If IBF, can you reverse and read what it is? IBF.
FBI.
Yeah. That is why you need the Kenyan.
Oh yeah, but I don't do much stuff. I'm a good citizen.
No. Let me tell you. I'll when I call you, I'll tell you how they work. Then you will know why I'm telling you. Use the other one.
Okay, got you. I understand you now.
I'll tell you know why they use the other, and that is why they can't fail in. These people, if they are given an assignment, imagine they can't fail.
It's good. Okay, I like the level of efficiency, Kuseo, because that is why you can drive from Minnesota to South Carolina in the night, and you're not afraid that somebody will stop you.
Not even stop you. You are just fine.
Even if you are a lady, you just fine. Me, I'm not afraid. Sometimes I fly out and I leave my car at the airport and I land back late in the night. And I just jump into my car and drive home in the middle of the night, and I'm just feeling safe. You see what I'm saying? That's where we need to pray that our country gets to.
No, you can't get there for so many reasons. There were so many things which were overlooked. You see, the fellows who made our constitution,
Yeah.
they made very big strides, but they also underrated so many other things. If they had not, you see what has happened to our so-called chapter 6. It is like you have been taking so many steps backwards just because of what our parliamentarians have done to chapter 6. It was totally wrong, very wrong, to have parliamentarians to be able, for example, to decide on their own destiny. Because that is what your current parliament is doing. It is not right. Those people have every right to decide their own destinies. You can see what they are doing with the CDF, led by the current president. It is not right. It's not right.
Yeah, unfortunately.
It is totally wrong. You see, for example, this idea about bursary. Now, they argue that education is not being devolved. And that is why they are trying to tie, they are talking about bursary. Strictly speaking, let's take, for example, here in the US, where they were borrowing this thing from. That is a state affair. It is a state affair. You cannot roll it to the national government. The infrastructure for schools, like the county where I am is called Prince William, they are in control of each and everything. Yeah. You cannot have this on somebody who is representing us in the Congress to be the one who makes decisions here. And these people, if I'm sorry to say, if you know how this Asla thing was being done, Asla, so you see this so-called Asla fund. I think when I talk to you, I'll tell you how it is being used to targeted people. Yeah. And you know something called Starbucks?
Yeah.
You know what happens to it every 4 years?
No.
It is written off. Who is the eventual beneficiary?
The one who borrowed.
Exactly.
So, but as they write
That is
it,
the root of the hustler.
so we borrow money. I borrow 500. Okay, I'm the one lending. So you people borrow 500 each, but in the name of you people, you only borrowed 1,500 in total. I announced that I lent several billions,
Let me tell you.
did not pay.
Let me tell you what I think I can say at this level. You see,
Mhm.
did you know that when you log into the hustler thing, the amount of money you qualify for is determined by where you are.
So did you ever try yourself?
No, there are people who have tried it.
And how much did they get? Those who are in the US.
Go to Nyeri. No, the minimum is like 500.
So if you are in Nyeri,
Your minimum may well be 1,500, 2,500.
oh my goodness. So should I travel to Nyeri or
Oh
should I?
yes, yes. If you are, but why would you do that? If you know what Asla Fund is about, you would not even dare do anything to do with the Asla Fund. Asla Fund is about data collection, and it has been budgeted to go on for 2 years. Each year, you are going to do as Tabex, 5+ billion, 5 to 7 billion. I don't know whether you understand me. I'm
And then it
talking
will be,
I'm talking in parables, but
and then it will be written off. I understand you could say,
exactly.
could say, let me
So
pause.
imagine this is being written off,
Mhm.
and you every time you are taking it from Nyeri. Eventually, it is written off for everybody.
Yes, it will be written
I
off.
don't know
And
whether you
after
get.
walisema,
I
you
don't
know
know
that,
whether you get the parable.
yes.
Yeah, Chaka here will be lucky to get 500.
But will Chakas be written off? Kwa sababu
Yes, of course,
ametoka pwani.
of course, of course. But remember, the more you do, the more you get.
Mhm.
So somebody who started at 1,500, soon you may find that you are at 3,000. By the time tunasema potelea mbali na hii, hata hiyo 500 ya Chaka is potelea mbali na hiyo yako ya 3,000 potelea mbali. And who is writing it off? The central government. Just like they did with the KQ, for example. Do you see?
Yeah, I hear you. Kuse allow me to pause you a bit. Let me allow Chaka to say something. Chaka Mdune, wasemaji, habari ya pwani.
Aseme kama amepata 500.
Chaka Mdune, twakusalimu Nataka kujua habari ya pwani ama habari ya ulipo. Chaka Mdume amepotea.
Chaka amepotea, lakini Chepto amerudi.
Chepto sema.
Ameshapata 500.
I think Chepto is back, and I think I mentioned about data. When you are taking those money, know that you are selling your name. You are putting yourself in a status of being counted on something. It's not about the money.
Exactly.
So I mentioned that very early when that thing was starting, people doing that. It is horrible that you are trapping people to do what you want the earliest possible, so that when it comes about your wants, you don't need them, but you have already qualified. What a horrible thing, surely.
That
Kenyans,
is the thing.
let's wake up. Yeah.
And then something, Chepto, you need to know is that when they take your 5%?
Yeah, hiyo pesa inaenda wapi?
When they take your 5%, what it means is to authenticate the data that we are collecting. Because everybody, your so-called money is going to be with us. And eventually what is going to happen is that all these fellows are going to get KRA PIN eventually. And remember, when we are able to access your M-Pesa statement, we are able to see the statements, we are able to have an idea about what you are doing. And not only about you, we are also going to be able to access the data. Let's say Chaka sent me, is the one paying me, buying some ballast or buying some sand from me. Hata yeye, he will be roped in. His data will be collected alongside mine. So for every transaction which takes place, they capture 2.
Asante, wacha tusikie Chaka Mdume. Karibu.
Oh, asante sana ndugu yangu, dada yangu Julia na brother hapo, alafu na mama yetu. Ni kuhusiana na, pengine sijaelewa vizuri, ni kuhusiana haya maswala na hustler fund.
Yes, anakuuliza wewe, je, ulipokea 500 yako?
500 ile kwamba kwa sababu mimi 500 ile ambayo ukiaccess unapani, si wanaangalia ile limit yako yenye
wanaangalia wapi?
Ati wewe umetoka pwani, limit ya pwani ni ngapi?
Limit huku mimi wengi ni 500, 700. Mfano nitazungumzia mimi, maana nilijaribu haswa, unaelewa hali zetu za huku kama unaona. So nikaona mimi nina qualify na 700. Ushaona? Then nilipoomba nikapewa shilingi 675. 25.
Your first saving. There is a first saving.
25 zikaenda mahali. Alafu nikaona wacha tu nilipe hii tuone kama hii limit itapanda kweli. Nikalipa 25 zikaenda, nikalipa tena 25 zikaenda, nikalipa tena kwa mara 4 zikaenda tena. Alafu kuja kuangalia kuna mahali wao unaangalia ile saving. Nikapata nimesave 65, sorry. How to access hiyo ujue unaweza itumia nini? Tunaiona kwamba ndio hii saving, lakini hujuezi itumia juu hakuna option kwamba unaweza itoa pale ukaitumia in case pengine una tatizo lolote katika hiyo saving yako. Kwa hivyo hakuna. Kwa hii ni pesa ambao wao ndio wanaisave, wanaijua inaenda wapi. Then the worst thing na hustler fund, hiyo limit waga haipandi. Inaibaki tu pale constantly. Sasa nikaanza kuwauliza na watu, hivi wewe limit yako imepanda? Ambia haipandi. Ukikutana na rafiki kumuuliza kwamba haipandi. So mwisho wa siku watu wameamua sasa tunalipia nini, na hii kitu ni wizi, hii kitu ni kama ni wizi. Pesa hiyo umesave inaonekana hapo na limit yako haipandi, iko pale pale kosa. So unakopa ile kitambo 50,000 haijulikani ni lini. So tukaachana na masuala hayo ya kuweza kulipa. Hadi leo mimi niko na hiyo deni ya watu ya shilingi 700.
Bwana Chaka, nakuelewa.
Lakini Chaka, uko na rafiki Nyeri?
Siko na rafiki huko juu, siko na mtu wa karibu namwelewa.
Tafuta mtu wa Nyeri wauleze kama hiyo limit inapanda ama namna gani.
Okay. But huku hakuna kitu kinapanda. Huo ndio ukweli kabisa kwa wengi, mpaka watu wameachana na kuzungumzia masuala hasela. Haizungumziwi tena, yani imekufa automatically. Na wengi wanasema
unajua nini, kupanda ama itapanda haitapanda inategemea uko wapi. Inategemea uko wapi. Change location. Siku moja aenda Kitui.
Ai, unafikiri Kitui itabadilika? Kitui hawezi
kubadilika. Oh yes.
Yeah, achange aende Nyeri, Karatina.
Inategemea uko wapi.
Sasa na zile pesa atatumia hiyo tiketi ya kufika huko, hiyo hazla imeisha.
Gachagua atamrudishia.
Unakumbuka vile unatumianga Uber?
Yeah.
Si ukitumia Uber through the GPRS wanajua uko wapi.
Yes, they know where you are.
Now that is how they have demarcated the country. They know kama uko Nyeri you deserve this. Kama uko Siaya you deserve no more than this.
Nothing.
Yes. Ndio Chaka ameshinda one place. Hiyo haiwezi panda.
Chaka, umesikia hao maoni ya hiyo ni maoni ya unknown script. Alitangwa Kiuseo kitambo. Chaka, endelea na utuambie maoni yako. Leo pia tunaongelea maneno ya haya maneno tumetoa kwa Jeremiah na yule anaitwa whistleblower bado. Maneno yaendelea kutokota. Wasemaje Chaka?
Kwanza unajua nimeingia kuchelewa na mwanangu Julia hasikii vizuri, umefura. Nikaingia hapa late, hata sikuweza kuingia, usingizi ukanichukua kidogo. Na pia jana sikuweza kufuatilia zaidi kuhusiana na hii, ndio maana nikaingia kwa haraka kujua ni nini kipya haswa kimeweza kutokota na mimi pia nipate kujua kutokana na hapa. But for real leo ni mtupu dada yangu Julia. Bwana huwa napekua ili nikija hapa huwa najua ninazungumzia kitu ambacho pia nimekufuatilia, lakini tangia jana sijatulia, sijaweza kuingia pale. So labda pengine nipate tu kusikia kutoka kwenu ni nini haswa kipi ambacho kimezuka tena haswa kuhusiana haya masuala na ushindi wetu ambao uliweza kunyakuliwa. Maana kwa kweli ni mtupu leo kabisa. Nijifundishe tu haswa nijue ni kipi tena, kwa sababu pale nimeachia ni pale ambapo unajua baba alishinda kwa 8 millions dhidi ya mpinzani wake wa karibu ambaye ni bwana Ruto, na mwisho wa siku ushindi huu kabaki kwa Ruto instead kwa Raila. Hapo ndo nimeachia. Sasa sijui kuna kipi ambacho ndo nilitaka kukisikia, so ndo maana nimeingia haraka hapa ili kuweza kujifundisha na kusikia ni yapi mapya zaidi. Lakini kiupande wangu sijaweza ingia katika hizo media na kutaka kujifundisha juu sikuwa na hiyo nafasi tangia jana nahangakia huyu mtoto.
Nilisikia kwamba bwana Itumbi alikuwa anasema mwenye whistleblower ni mlevi, kumaanisha wanajua whistleblower. Sasa kama ni mlevi, ni kama kulingana na Itumbi hajui vile anasema, haelewi chenye anasema. Sijui kama unknown script ulisikia hiyo statement.
You say the whistleblowers have not been disclosed. The organization which received the information they had and investigated and did the retallying is what has been disclosed. And it is not a wash organization. They are reputable organizations. And they have accepted that is what they are doing, and that's what they did. They went deep, investigated the matter, they did an audit, and they went over the entire exercise, and those are their findings. So it is not that there are people who are hiding anywhere or what have you. And you know what? They are coming from here.
Oh,
That's why I was asking you for the phone number so that I can tell you what exactly is going on. You know, even here they are rivals.
yes,
I don't know whether
I
you are aware.
remember even Kioni gave something a tweet address, na akasema si ati ni watu wanajificha, they have got
No.
they have got the way you can communicate to them and they can address it to you. So it's not something that is hidden. So when they are saying that ni mlevi, Itumbe ndio mlevi, ndio haelewi mambo.
Yeah, Itumbi ndio mlevi.
Yeah.
And something else you can add, Chepto, is that is the same way you have the KPMGs, is the same way you have these organizations. So they are not a wash anything. They are serious, reputable organization, global, and these ones are doing their work, that assignment and that work as strategists in Africa. And that is why you cannot take their revelations for whatever, and they are challenging anybody who thinks they are not what have you. They are challenging to test them.
So they are just not politicking. They mean business.
They mean business, and they are paid for it.
Got you.
The same way you pay your external auditors to come and do you something.
You know, for Itumbe to come out with the mlevi, they called Uhuru mlevi, and Uhuru has done a wonderful job in our country. So for them, it's just a something that I don't know how I can put it, because unapuuza mambo ambayo kweli kabisa inakuuma, you know, because they must be shocked of the revelation. They must be in a disarray, because what is going on now is a true fact that will come to bite them. So kutumia tu jina ati ni mlevi on a camera, whatever you said it, I think it is like putting you into a side before they go and dissect, how can we tackle this? This is big. And that is how Kenyans should take it. It's big. It's something very good for Kenyans to know.
Yeah, it is.
Leave them, let them say
very
Nimlevi.
You see, Chepto, it's like you remember the other time when this Robert Ouko was killed. You all remember it. You remember
Yes.
at some point these fellows contracted. Okay, the government contracted Scotland Yard.
Yes.
Now it is the sort of thing.
Okay.
So it is good that they are people who mean business, and you pay them dearly for it.
Got you. Ni kama mtu unamwambia, it's like here, I don't know, here you see, here we are never so worried about, okay, we take care of our credit cards and our debit cards, but really if something just like my credit card is usually like, if there's a transaction that I dispute, it is they take it upon their responsibility to get my money back.
Exactly. And the company that does the investigation is not a wash. It's people who stand with what is supposed to be done.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they don't do it for free. They are a very expensive lot. They do serious thorough job.
Unasikia chaka hapa, si utumie kadi ya mtu ati ufikirie you get away, utapotea nayo, utapatikana tu ati upate kadi ya Julia mahali ununulie vitu, tumie pesa. First and foremost, chaka nitarudishiwa pesa yangu with my bank, then my bank will take upon myself to come after you chaka, na watakupata, you know, they will take upon themselves. Sasa wewe umeibia customer wetu, tunakukujia. You see, I like that level of accountability.
It's a very good system.
Yes.
That nobody loses in the carelessness. like a thief would come and steal you something through a system, you be followed. But before they follow you, they
You,
have already undertaken the problem. So now let's go for
Yes,
the
it
bad
is not. It
boys.
is not. It is not that it is my problem that somebody hacked into my account and stole my money. It is they were supposed to secure my money. You see, it is not that it is
Yes.
my problem. The other thing I like after I have been here for some time now, and there are so many things I love. One of the things I learned to sell is that I can take my car to Walmart Super Center na wanaingia nayo huko ndani na siendi kuona gari yangu inafanyiwa nini. Unaona, I just tell them, look here, I want change of oil. I want you to look at 1, 2, 3 in my car. So, and I go to my shopping to buy my stuff. So coming back napata list. Oil imeangaliwa na because is a work tuangalia wipers, kuangalia sijui maji ya nini, wameweka tick 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 tick. I mean, I don't have to inspect kuwasimamia wafanya hii kazi. And then there's an insurance like kama they change my tires, if something happened to that, they should, I mean, they are accountable to that. If kama nilitoa gari yangu nikaondoka, something happened to those tires, they are accountable to that. So do you think we'll ever get there to sell?
no, you see, that is okay. Okay, it is a wishful thinking. I hope one day, maybe one day it will get
How
there.
can you
But
say that to sell?
what you are saying, I went through it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine I went to a garage, and I needed to have, like here in where I am, we do this so-called inspection. You do the smoke test. You do all these tests before your number can be renewed.
Yeah.
Then you use the opportunity also to change plugs, change oil, basically do what
Yeah.
in Kenya you refer to as red service. There is blue service and red service.
Mm.
So I went there at around 8. And now when I went back at 12, I found the car where I had parked it. Just now with a job card with all manner of ticks.
Yeah, with all manner of ticks.
I didn't see
We
what
have
they
checked
did.
the tires, we've checked the pressure, we've checked the
Exactly.
air, we've checked the wiper, we have checked the tick, 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 tick. Even what you didn't ask them to tick, they checked.
Yes.
Yes.
So, and you know what? I found the car was not in the garage. It was outside at the parking. So imagine I couldn't doubt that they had done all these things.
Me too. I have never
I
doubted.
I just drove
Now,
off.
Kuseo, I
Uh,
want to tell you, I have never opened my car's thing, you know? And the other day I felt so foolish. I just thought, I am Kenyan. I should know these things. But the truth is, every time I go, wanaangalia mpaka ile maji, they check everything for me. And
mm,
some time back, I went to change my tires. And, they have an insurance for the tires. Like, if something happened, alafu kitu ingine, hawabadilishi mguu moja. I mean, one tire. Because they cannot change one, they change all of them. Like, at the same time, they're accountable. They want to be answerable to for that car. So you are saying that it's a dream beyond the horizon for Kenya?
no,
Yes.
it's very far. But by the way, did
Mhm.
they charge you for disposing the old tires?
Yes,
like
they charge.
like
I
they
don't know.
charge us here?
They charge $1 and something. Walmart, I don't know, $1 and something for disposing the old tire. And I was surprised. I thought my tires are good. I mean, now they are disposing them, and
At your cost.
at my cost. Chaka, unaona hiyo gari yangu haiko imeisha mguu, ni vile tu moja ilitombolewa na kitu, unaona moja. Sasa nilitaka mguu ingine. Sasa haiwezi weka moja, they have to replace the 4 of them. Sasa zile 3 bado ni nzuri, lakini wanachukua na wananilipisha kudispose them. I'm like, what? But you see, they're like, wanasema, first and foremost, we can't replace one tire. Secondly, we must replace all of them because the car needs balancing. And thirdly, we must only replace with brand new tires.
If you are in Kenya, you would have sold them for their color people and get some.
Yes, not a color. I would have sold them to another car driver. Those tires were good.
Let me
Well,
say this, Julia.
Yes, Ken.
However, things are so good like that. There was one company that they started swindling people. You take your car and they take it inside, as you have explained, that you take your car and they take it inside, you go your way. Then you come back, you are told that this has been done, blah, 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 blah. Then one time they were suspected that they are not doing that work. To be honest, one guy, when he had that story, he took his car and he happened to put those pinhole cameras in his engine and attached it there and said, I want oil change. They took the car inside. They just stayed with it for how the much they would estimate that oil change will take. And then they finished and they brought the car out. And the guy said, is it done? Yeah, it is done. Everything is done, blah, blah, blah. And he paid, he asked for the receipt. When he left, he went and took his camera and checked. The car was done nothing. And that was the evidence that he took to court. You know what happened? That company was on the news and it was closed down. So there are consequences of when you do the wrong thing or you don't give people services as they pay for. So if it was Kenya, that would have been continued. It was, I mean, the company would continue doing that and nobody will ever know what they are going through.
Kenya, they'll buy their way out of the court and they'll get away with it. That is what would have happened, period.
Exactly. If they are not caught, they continue. If they are caught and taken to court, they are acquitted. So that is how the difference of life is.
Julia, before you welcome Richie, maybe welcome Richie Kwanzaa, then I'll give you a Kenyan true story about car tracking, how people were being fleeced in Westlands, Nairobi.
Okay,
you will be shocked. After he
story,
has come, after he has given his bit.
yes, and I don't know, Chaka had talked a bit. Richie, umepotea sana. Either you owe us an apology or you tell us exactly where you have been, and Happy New Year. Good to see you. Mimi nilidhania ulienda Kenya Kwanza, lakini thank God you are back. Maybe they have allowed you back. So welcome Richard Makiadi. Usalimie hawa watu na usalimie wenye kwako kwa comment section na uambie kwa kinaga ubaga kama kwamba umerudi. Karibu Bwana Rich.
Can you hear me?
Yes sir.
Oh, very good. Kusema unknown scripts. Good to see you. Habari ya mwaka mpya. Habari ya mwaka mpya.
Happy New Year. Although I wonder whether it was a happy New Year.
It's
conventionally.
It's been a while. It's been a while. Chaka Mdune, habari ya mwaka mpya. Mzuri kukuona. Naona mpaka Kenyan Chepto amebadilisha jina. Hii mwaka iko na maneno mpya. Guru, good to see you. Julia, good to see you too.
Blow a whistle.
Mimi sina mambo mapya. Mimi sina mambo mapya. Unajua sikupotea kwa ubaya, nilikuwa nimeshikana, lakini nilikuwa napata nafasi saa zingine ya kuangalia kipindi na nimeona mkishikilia kwa njia nzuri sana. Kuna mambo mingi sana ya kuongea, masaa ndio hakuna. Sijui Julia unataka nianzie wapi? Kwanza acha nisalimie watu kwanza kwa comment section huko.
Kwanza kwa comment section. I think we have missed you.
Danny Darius, nimekuona. Apologies for staying away for a while. Nimeona ujumbe wako hapo. Acha nione kama kuna mwingine ninajua hapo. Naona Black yuko hapo, Charles Agwaru, Due Diligence, Ndush, Joy Obesa, Happy New Year to you, na wale wengine wote, sijui kama kuna mtu sijataja. Betty and all the rest. Sami. Haya, sasa Julia, unataka tuanzie wapi? Mambo ni mingi. Unajua the last time nilikuwa
Okay,
hapa.
the last time you are here,
Yeah.
tulikuwa tunaongelea nini?
Ask him to blow a whistle. Ask him to blow the whistle.
Hiyo ndio gani? Oh, whistleblower. Hapana, hiyo
Yeah.
ya whistleblower achana nayo kwanza, nitaongea baadaye. Mimi the last time nilikuwa hapa tulikuwa tuna gauge uzuri na ubaya wa GMO kwa nabii kutoa matiti. Hapo ndio tuliachia siasa. Nikaenda live kwanza.
Rudi kwa matiti.
The last time nilikuwa hapa nilisikia wakisema ya kwamba ukitaka kujua GMO ni mbaya utaona nabii akitoa matiti. Si yeye mwenyewe ndiye alisema, si mimi mwenyewe nilisema.
Okay, but if he said that, you know, we haven't seen him naked, so we don't know what's happening to him.
So that's the last time I was here, but I think a lot has happened since I left. Nimekuwa nikiangalia, ninajaribu kufollow politics za Kenya, na I hate to burst people's bubble, but this is the year. Hii ndio ile mwaka tulikuwa tunasema kama ni mbaya itakuwa mbaya. Na vile unajua Julia, mimi nakuja na Mwakenya kidogo. Acha kwanza niwekee watu hii, alafu tutoke hapo ndio tuongee.
The Kenya Kwanza government's first draft budget policy statement is out, and in case you haven't looked through it, here's what you need to know. On the high-level numbers, the draft BPS projects the total revenue for the financial year 2023-24 at 2.897 trillion shillings and the total expenditure at 3.641 trillion shillings. This means the deficit or the shortfall between the revenue and the expenditure is projected at 744 billion shillings. How is the expenditure split across the arms of government? As always, the executive gobbles up the lion's share at 2.13 trillion. The consolidated fund, which by the way is where the funds for servicing debt obligations as well as pension are drawn from, is allocated 909 billion shillings at number 2. County government's equitable share comes third at 375 billion shillings. This is then followed by Parliament at 39.9 billion and the judiciary at 20.1 billion shillings. So what are the big proposals in the draft BPS? Let's unpack them. First, the Treasury is proposing that KRA cuts back on the value-added tax gap from the present 38.9% to 19.8%. In simple terms, Treasury is basically telling KRA that the amount collectible for value-added tax that is foregone every year needs to be reduced from the current 314.6 billion shillings to just 160.2 billion. What does this mean? It tells you Treasury is indicating to the KRA that the annual value-added tax collections need to rise from the current 292.1 billion shillings to at least 445.6 billion. Second, the Treasury is proposing that KRA cuts back on the corporate income tax gap from the present 32.2% to 30%. So what does this mean? It tells us that the Treasury is signaling KRA to collect an extra 4.2 billion shillings through corporate income tax. The Treasury is also proposing the integration of KRA systems with telecommunication companies' systems. Any surprises here? I don't think so. The government began integrating KRA systems with those of betting firms in 2022 to gain more visibility of transactions in that space and help in sealing of tax revenue leakage. As we speak, by the way, KRA is collecting daily revenue from two tax heads in the betting sector, that is excise tax at 7.5% of stakes and withholding tax at 20% on winnings. So this was really just a signal of what is likely coming: integration of KRA systems with more facets of the economy. Another big issue in the draft budget policy statement is the Treasury's projection that there is a potential taxable base in Kenya's informal economy to the tune of 2.8 trillion shillings. Now, taxing the informal sector has always been a headache, and never before have we had the government map out potential tax revenue from this segment of the economy, and therefore this is a first. So what do we expect? The draft national tax policy proposes the reintroduction of presumptive tax to enable the government to net the hard-to-tax sectors in the economy like agriculture and the informal sector. Could we see it as a part of the Finance Bill of 2023? Only time will tell. And finally, the National Treasury is also proposing the mapping out of rental properties to enable the taxman to ramp up revenue collected on rental income. You may recall that on October 19, 2022, Kenya Revenue Authority kicked off a data collection exercise on rental properties within the Nairobi metropolitan area. And you guessed it, yes, That's it.
Unknown scripts. Umesikia hiyo maneno imeongewa hapo.
I've heard what is going on there. You want to give your bit first, or I give a comment?
No, you can give a comment. You can give a comment.
There is this issue about rental income. I have heard that the approach they want to take is whereby they want to use Safaricom to help them collect rental income. How do they want to do this? You see currently what's happening is that when the rent is paid, they are coming up with I think if your annual income is less than 10 million, they want you to pay a flat rate of 10% on gross. So in other words, if you have a rental income whereby the rent is, call it 20,000, they want an automatic 2,000 being the tax, being the 10%. Is it 2,000? Yeah. Now, how do they want to rope in the Safaricom? They are saying that they want KRA want a law. I don't know how they are going to structure the law in Parliament, but a situation whereby the rent is paid through M-Pesa. Now, if your rent is paid through M-Pesa, now what you are going to have is a situation whereby I pay you I pay you, Makiadi said the 20,000. Straight away, 2,000 is deducted straight to KRA account, and 18,000 is what lands into your account. So this idea of monthly rental income is done away with. Now, if they get there, I think they would have made very many steps forward from the look of things. If they ever get there, I do not know how they are going to structure such a law in Parliament. But if that be the case, the issue of dealing with rental income may well be a very efficient a very efficient way. I don't know what input you people have.
Okay, sijui kama Chaka unataka kuchangia hiyo video tumeona ama namna gani?
Hii video nimeona, lakini upande wangu haikuwa na sauti, ilikuwa inakatakata, so sikuweza kusikia kile ambacho kimeweza kuzungumziwa pale. Nimeona hizo mambo na pesa nini, lakini sikusikia ile video the way ya sauti yake ilikuwa inakatakata upande wangu, sikuipata vizuri. Ilikuwa kama inakuja na hang, sikuipata vizuri kakaangu.
Haya, sawa, tupatie maoni basi, alafu tutasonga mbele kutoka hapo.
Mimi swala langu liko hapa kwa hawa jamaa wapiga miluzi hawa. Hawa wapiga miluzi hawa. Sasa hawa wapiga miluzi sijui, yani sijafahamu vizuri, ndio maana nilikuwa nauliza dadangu Julia hapa na kakaangu hapa kuseo kwamba piga miluzi yani company ama ni organization fulani yenye inafuatilia, at least ndio nipate kuwaelewa vizuri hawa wapiga miluzi, kwa sababu wamekuja na kitu kizuri upande wetu kuhakikisha kwamba tumeona yale aliyotendeka katika tarehe 9 mwezi wa 8, kwamba ushindi huu ulikuwa wa mwingine na mwenye yuko ni mwingine. So nashangaa hawa wapiga miluzi walikuwa pati ya hawa IBC ama wako katika pati wako hapa wa Kenya ama wako whole Africa. ndivyo nielewe vizuri hawa wenzetu wapiga miluzi hawa wenyewe kwa kimombo mnasema whistle blowers, na pia sijui kama nitakuwa nimetafasiri vizuri Kiswahili, so sijaelewa juu wanaleta mambo mengine mazuri hapa kuweza kuhakikisha yale yaliyojificha yamewekwa wazi, na at least pia kama Wakenya tuweze kujua ukweli na tujue ni njia gani sahihi tuweza malizana na hawa wanyakuzi wa madaraka kwa kupitia milango ya nyuma. Hivyo nikawa tunataka kuwafahamu wanakaa wako katika hili taifa letu, ama wanadili na Afrika, ama wako nje pengine huko ghaibuni, ama ni wale ambao ni miongoni mwa wale walikuwa observers wa hiyo wa huu uchaguzi wa 2022 wa Agosti uliopita. Kidogo ndo niweze kujifundisha kutoka pale, kutokana kwa nye wenzetu ambao kidogo na ufahamu. Hapo ndo kaa kidogo na maswali, kwa sababu hapa nimeona katika Kenyans are in shock as more revelation prove Raila Odinga's win in the 2022 election. So nikaa nataka kuelewa pia ni kitu gani kimenoga tena kipya juu jana niliachia pale kwamba Kioni akizungumzia kwamba kuna hawa wapiga miluzi wenye waliweza kutoa hizo figa ikagundulika kuwa Raila kashinda kwa 8 millions dhidi ya mpinzani wake ambaye aliweza kupata 5 million. Unaona, hii ni kwa wale ni yule mkuu nani I mean Kioni ndio alikuwa anazungumzia haya na yalitokana kwa hao wapiga miluzi. So nikaa tu swali langu kujiuliza, hao wapiga miluzi wamo hapa tu chini ama wanadili na kazi gani, na ni organization, ni company ama ni vipi? Na ndivyo je, ni jinsi gani watakavyoweza kutusaidia kuweza kunyakua huu ushindi wetu na kumpa mwenye kushinda zaidi, ili kuweza kuhakikisha tunawakomesha hawa wanyakuzi, na pia kuweza kusafisha njia ya kura zetu kwamba ziweze kupata usemi, kura ya Mkenya iweze kupata usemi kwamba anachokichagua ndicho anachokipata, si kile ambacho anakipigia kura kisha anapata kingine ambacho kimewekwa pale na hawa wachache wenye vyao ambao wanaweza wakabadilisha chochote. Pia wana uwezo hata kubadilisha mlima, kuhamisha kutoka pwani kupeleka huko kutokana na hela zao. Kwa hivyo nikawa nimekwamia pale kimtazamo wangu na mawazo yangu wamegandia pale. Edha mnisaidie ili nipate kuweza kufahamu zaidi. Asanteni.
Safi Chaka. Ose, sijui unataka kusema nini kwanza?
Just regarding hii maneno ya those figures, the budgets and the figures, they are talking about a deficit of 744 billion, isn't it? If things go the way they are, and now that is assuming that the target revenue for KRA would be met. Yet historically, what we have seen is that these people never meet their target. Now, that being the case, it means that where will the 744 billion deficit come from? You have no other way. It has to be through some borrowing. It has to be through some borrowing. Now, I do not...
Kuseo katangu nakupata kwa mbali sana. Nakupata kwa mbali sana Kuseo. Kwa mbali sana.
Oh. Well,
no,
how about you?
I can hear you very clearly. I think maybe Chaka mitambo yako iko na shida. Sijui labda ni sisi. Sisi tunamsikia vizuri. Labda mitambo yako ndio ina shida Chaka.
If you go out and come again, maybe it will improve. So basically what I was trying to say that basically what I was trying to say is that this 744 billion basically is the debt. They love to bridge it through borrowing. I don't see any otherwise. And then secondly, they were saying that the counties they are budgeted at 375 billion. I think that is what they have always done year in, year out. I don't think it has ever gone very far away from there. And if that being the case, it's just that by the end of the day, you find that they have not given the entire amount. It's still a shortfall. So again, they're already up. As I remember the way things are now, they're already in the borrowing level. So I don't understand how they are saying that. Is it 3.6? 3.6 is the what? Is the 3.6 trillion. Now, if they want to cut the expenditure, then why already start from that high? Already I remember in the current structure, I think the president already promised that they are going to do away with to save some 300, is it austerity measures or what? Some 300 billion is going to be saved by cutting the budgets here and there. I do not know how this, and yet if we are not going to be borrowing, time will tell. They'll tell us in Parliament how they are going to bridge this deficit. Now, something else I needed to know what Chaka addressed. What are these more revelations? I think I'm in the dark as to which are the more revelations around the whistleblowing that indicates confirms Baba's win in that election. Is there anything other than what the whistleblowers are trying to bring out? Because Chebukati is with his assassination issues. That is not a revelation. Is that a revelation? Anyway, you give us Richie, tell us if you have any input on these revelations.
Yeah, I was trying to download a video here. Sorry, I think it's complete. I'll play the video, but let me say this. I think what you are seeing from the Kenya Kwanza government is what we've always been talking about here. So the government is talking about taxing the informal sector, 2.8 trillion Kenyan shillings, informal sector. I don't know if Kusel, perhaps you later on you'll explain to our viewers what presumptive tax is, because it looks like this government, like we have always been saying since they took office and they got they got into power, it looks like these people are not prepared at all to lead the nation. And just by surprise, all they are doing right now is, playing politics. I want somebody to tell me, what is this that the government is going to do with the informal sector to raise 2.8 trillion Kenyan shillings? Anybody? 2.8 trillion Kenyan shillings. Because it looks like William Ruto na mwenzake Rigathi Gachagua, plus the guy that is behind all these economics, David Ndii, whatever they are telling us, ni ile kitu nilikuwa nasema kutoka kitambo kuseo hapa, it's a textbook analysis. They come with textbook assessment of the economy and give us numbers. They are trying to say that they can be able to raise 2.8 trillion Kenyan shillings by taxing landlords in Nairobi. And we talked about this thing a while ago about people being, enticed with the 500 shillings loan in terms of Hustler Fund, not knowing very well that the government's sole purpose for enrolling people as much as possible into this program was to get their information from Safaricom, from is it called Airtel ama inaitwa namna gani, and the other mobile companies. That was the ultimate goal that the government was aiming to shoot for. And so many Kenyans, people wale ambao walidanganyika wakasema wacha tuchukue hii loan ya 500, involuntarily gave their information to the government. They gave access to the government so that the government can now track whatever transactions they are doing. And Makiu Kuseo there's one thing that the government is trying to do here that I don't agree with. They are saying that they are going to monitor your transactions, your mobile transaction, and tax you from whatever transactions that you're going to be doing. Watakuwa wanaangalia ile pesa inaingia kwa akaunti yako, wanaangalia kama ni kulipwa, wana tax hiyo pesa. So how is the government going to make a distinction between an income and any other money that comes into your account? Where are they going to draw a line? Waseme hizi pesa zenye zimeingia kwa huyu mjamaa si pesa za kulipwa, ni pesa ambazo labda ametumiwa na rafiki ama amepata kwa njia nyingine tofauti, kwa hivyo tusiweze kutax hizi pesa. And this is going to be tricky because most of the people that receive these monies through M-Pesa and the rest of the mobile transactions ni wale watu ambao wanafanya biashara zile ndogo ndogo. Ukienda kwa kiosk pale ununue kitu, kuna till number pale, instead ya kulipa cash unalipa na till number. Ukipata pesa, umetumiwa pesa kuseo na mtoto wako ama na ndugu yako pale amekutumia 3,000, serikali inasema lazima tukate 10% ya hii pesa, for example, ambayo ni 30 bob. Is it 300? Yeah, 300. So the government is trying to tax the poor to revive an economy that looks like has a bleak future. You know, the economy cannot be revived by taxing the poor to the bone. We have to see a plan by this government to revive the economy. They told us they have a plan. They gave us their manifesto. Wakakuja na manifesto yao wakatuambia hii ndio agenda zetu ambazo tutatumia kuweza kufufua uchumi wa Kenya. Right now, nobody is talking about the agenda that the Kenya Kwanza coalition gave the Kenyan people. All those charters zenye walikuwa wameandika, wakipromise akina mama, wakipromise vijana, wamama ambao watapata watoto, all those charters zenye zilikuwa tunaziona kila siku, hakuna mtu ambaye anazungumzia hiyo charter. Every day tukiamka tunasikia Chebukati is a hero. That is the politics that Kenya Kwanza is giving us every day. We have moved from discussing about reviving an economy. We are now discussing about how Chebukati saved William Ruto's presidency. And Makiu, the person that is telling us that Chebukati was about to be kidnapped by some forces and killed, is the president. The president himself, with the instruments of power, can initiate a commission to investigate what happened during the past general elections. Why is the president not doing that? If at all he believes that somebody somewhere, a group of people somewhere was planning to, rig an election and kidnap the chairman and interfere with the people's will like they keep on telling us, kwa nini mpaka saa hii hajaform commission ambayo itaenda kuinvestigate hiyo maneno? These people always come up with issues that will distract Kenyans from the failing government that they have. Kuseo, you should tell us, hii kitu wanasema ati Chebukati alikuwa amepangiwa kuwa hijacked ama kuwa kidnapped alafu aende uawe. If any other politician in Kenya, nitaje tu any politician ama raia yoyote ambaye anaweza sema kitu kama hiyo na iende without any consequences apart from William Ruto. He is the only politician, even when he was not the president, anaweza ongea a very absurd thing and people will say, hapana, huyo jamaa huwa anaongea namna hiyo, tunajua yeye ni muongo na wamwachilie waende. Why is the president of the Republic of Kenya, William Ruto, not being held responsible for his words? And I like the way Martha Karua came up and said, if you know very well that there is somebody, you don't have to go around, in circles telling people that this was the will of the people being subverted, being hijacked. Wewe ni president saa hii, uko na instruments za power. Do you want to go and record a statement? Ule mtu ambaye mlikuwa mnasema ako DCI alikuwa na interfere na investigation, mulimtupa nje. Very well, Kinoti is gone. So I believe right now the DCI, according to the standards of William Ruto, can function as he hoped the DCI is supposed to function. Why can't he name those names? Why can't he write a statement? Why can't he have a commission formed to investigate these people. From where I sit, I think William Ruto na Rigathi Gachagua and the UDA government through Kenya Kwanza government is taking Kenyans for a ride. They have no agenda. Everything that they speak is contrary to what they do. The president talked about lowering the price of electricity. I have seen so many people in the country complaining ya kwamba stima badala ya kuteremka vile rais alikuwa amesema atateremsha bei ya stima, stima imepanda juu. The funding that we used to see, colleges, high school and all that, they have stopped doing that. Everything they talk about is about the past. Hata leo, in fact yesterday, nimesikia bado Rigathi Gachagua anaongea mambo ya we inherited the government. Is this a song that we are going to see for the next 4 years? To 2027. Hii ndio wimbo itakuwa tunaona kila wakati wakituambia we inherited the government, we inherited the government. They began by telling us wali inherit empty coffers. So far KRA has done above what was expected. Wamepata pesa pale kwa account. Hakuna mtu sasa anaongea mambo ya empty coffers anymore. Now they are swimming in money. You will see them going as a group. Thanksgiving, sijui prayer, sijui nini, unakuta deputy and all those guys wanaandamana pamoja wanaenda. Nobody is talking about being broke right now. So sasa saa hii kwa sababu serikali iko na pesa, KRA ina perform ile kazi yenye ilikuwa inafanya, wameturudisha maneno ya assassination ya Chebukati. And I can tell you for real, mimi sikubaliani na ile kitu Jeremiah Kioni anasema. He has his opinion. I want to differ with whatever hii kitu chaka, hii kitu nasema ya ati whistleblower. Mimi nasema namna hii. Kwa vile kila mtu anajua ya kwamba hii uchaguzi iliibiwa. We do not even need the evidence yenye Jeremiah Kioni anasema ako naye. Haitatusaidia na chochote sahi. Hakuna kitu itabadilisha. William Ruto kama anajua ya kwamba kuna group ambayo ilikuwa inataka kumwibia uchaguzi, yeye aseme ni akina nani, then we can begin from there. Lakini hizi stories zingine zenye tunasema hapa kando ni kizungu, I think hazitusaidii na anything. We should agree to hold this government accountable right now, kwa sababu hii serikali mahali imefika, all they do is try to get something to distract Kenyans from the main agendas. Kenyans are suffering. Watu wanapata shida saa hii Kenya. Food is expensive. There's no plan whatsoever to lower the price of food. Electricity imepanda. Mafuta ni pale ilikuwa. There's nothing, no tariff, hakuna kitu ambayo serikali imeput forward, even in the parliament, to try and lower the cost of living in the Republic of Kenya. Hakuna. Zero. And I think this is what we should be doing for Kenyans. We should be holding this government accountable. The president should be asked questions. Ile siku ingine uliona akihojiwa na wanahabari, akasema that is why I fired that guy Kinoti. And whatever, journalist akamuuliza, so this guy did not resign. You fired him. You see the way alikwepa hiyo maswali, because he knows, William Ruto knows he's a liar. And we should have people in our country who can ask him questions to his face. William Ruto should be asked to his face. Kama wewe rais unajua ya kwamba ulikuwa unanyang'anywa uchaguzi, kwa nini usiform commission? Wewe rais ulisema ya kwamba mwaka ujao utaloa gharama ya maisha. Leo ni tarehe ngapi Hosea? Today we are almost past halfway through January. Kwa nini serikali haijaleta mbinu zozote hata kwa bunge za kujaribu kuteremsha gharama ya maisha kwa mwananchi wa kawaida? Hii ndio maswali yenye tunafaa tuwe tunauliza hawa watu. Tukikimbizana na hii maneno ya uchaguzi ya baba alisema ya kwamba anajua kile kitu kiliendelea. And I want to tell you this. There's this lady who is called the British ambassador, is it the British High Commissioner to Kenya? That lady. Even before William Ruto went to visit Nyanza, I think mulimuona akikutana na baba. Na baadaye
anaitwa Marriott or something.
Yeah, Marriott. and baadaye ukaona the next day, baada ya kukutana na Raila Odinga and the other leaders wa Azimio, the next day ulimuona ameenda kukutana na Rigathi Gachagua. So this person, huyu mtu unaona anatembea hapa katikati, these are the people that are preventing Azimio from doing its job. Ni kama anatumwa huko na, this is just my whatever, my observance. Ni kama anatumwa huko kwenda kuambia wale watu, just allow the president. The president is seeking legitimacy. We can see it with our own eyes. Anajaribu kujipendekeza kwa watu ambao hawakumpigia kura, kwa sababu anajua ya kwamba watu wanajua ni nini alifanya. So he's using these ambassadors, high commissioners all over, wanaran huko, wanaambia Raila enda ngambo, anaenda USA, anakaa wiki moja huko, ile sherehe yake ile ya Jacaranda inapita. Siku fulani Raila anataka kutangaza, anasema I'll declare my way forward, wanamwambia enda South Africa. Anaenda anakaa South Africa siku mbili. Ruto anapata nafasi ya kuzunguka kwa zile sehemu ambazo hazikumpigia kura. Ruto anatafutana na magavana wa upinzani kila mahali, akipigwa nao picha nje ya State House, ndio tuone ya kwamba anajaribu kushikanisha nchi, na tunajua ya kwamba he's looking for legitimacy. So sisi hatutampatia legitimacy, we should not allow him. Hatufai kumkubalia kwa sababu tunajua ile kitu alifanya na Chebukati. These guys are every day worshiping Chebukati, kila siku. Kwa national holidays, Chebukati is a hero. Wakikutana sijui wapi, Chebukati should be honored. Okay, sawa sawa. Honor Chebukati. We agree with you. But we should also seek for justice. Kalonzo Musyoka alikuwa na statement juzi na akasema, you know, there's no healing without justice. Ikiti ya election fraud imetoka kitambo sana. Kitambo. Since we voted in 2012, wakati Kibaki alichaguliwa, that was, everybody agrees, that was the only transparent election that the Republic of Kenya has ever had. 2027, tuliona the same sarakasi. 2022, tumeona the same sarakasi. How are we going to heal our country without holding people accountable? Sai kila mtu is giving up. Everybody is saying William Ruto will be the president until 2032. Kwa sababu ukimuuliza, hata Julia, mimi najua umesema hivyo, hata Chaka unknown scripts, najua umesema hivyo. Ukiulizwa ni kwa nini unafikiria William Ruto atakuwa president, unasema we have no election body. So people are giving up on our country. We are allowing a crook, we are allowing a person who is very dishonest to rule our country for the next 10 years because we have no options. Tumesema kama ni wale ambao watu walikuwa wanatupigania kina Raila Odinga, tunasema wameendelea kiumri. So tukiangalia upinzani, there is nobody else ambaye anaweza tutetea ama atetee kuhold the government accountable. The likes of the people who we were thinking about, tukisema hapa kina governor ya Kisii anaitwa nani, Simba Arati. Simba Arati kila siku unamuona State House. Hata juzi amekuwa kwa Gachagua, juzi amekutana na Murkomen. He has become an ambassador of the Kisii nation, begging. Ameenda kubeg State House, ameenda kubeg kwa ofisi ya deputy president, anaenda kukutana na minister huko begging. And I think we've had this discussion for many times. Me na rafiki yangu Black, we differ on this issue. I always tell Black here that in the United States of America, the president right now is a Democrat. Half of the states, even more than half, are led by governors from the Republican Party. Senators, the same thing. I have never seen a governor, that is very important. I have never seen a governor, unless by circumstances that are common to the federal government and the state government, you know, trying to, ile kitu tunaita Kenya working together. Unajua kuna kitu Kenya tunaitanga working together. The county government should work together. Hii work together ni begging in simple terms. Working together, hii tunaita working together, yenye unasikia president anasema we will work together. We will work together kwa Kenyans, kwa politicians wa Kenya ni kuomba. Kwa sababu unasikia mtu anasema ya kwamba sisi kama upinzani tuko nje ya serikali hatuwezi pata maendeleo. And this discussion is where we should be going to. The governor of a governor that has been elected by a different party from the president should not go to beg for development in their counties. It is not supposed to happen like that. The funds that are allocated by the constitution kwenda kwa county, hizo funds ni enough, and you should not even try to go to State House kwenda kuambia president tafadhali wachilie hizi funds, except under mutual interest. And this is vitu kama barabara kuseo. Everybody knows very well kuna barabara za county na barabara za national government. Vitu kama hizo zenye tunasikianga hapa ati tumeenda kuomba barabara, tumeenda kuomba sijui dam. These are projects that are supposed to be done by the national government. We have reduced our country into a level whereby a politician must go and beg, must go and kneel down before the executive ndio maendeleo ifanyike. Yes, Kuseo.
Richie, you have raised a number of questions, or a number of issues. But I think your governors is because you don't understand the logistics, the challenges that these people face. You see, as I keep saying here, we borrowed the constitution from here. In strictly speaking, these devolved governments in Kenya are far away from what the constitutional makers had intended. The truth of the matter is that these fellows are just provinces in the whole setup, or call them districts. They depend 75% on anything, on the national government. You see, the constitution gives them that right that they can expect the 15%. The logistics involved here are such that they can't work. You see, here, the states have got their own revenue. Here in Kenya, you don't. You don't. You rely entirely on the national government.
Kuseo, let me cut
Just
you
a
short.
minute.
Let me cut you short because
the constitution.
I'll forget about that. On that very point that you're making, that I want you to look at the revenue that is generated by the Nairobi county government alone. Leave alone the other counties. You are saying here that the county governments have no capacity to sustain themselves. Remember, these counties, even before the new constitutions, the new constitution, these counties were the so-called council, Nairobi City Council. Look at the history of these councils. Enda ata angalia ata Narok. Look at the money that these councils used to generate. Compare what they used to generate then with what they are generating right now, and then on top of that, they get additional funding from the national kitty. And then we can discuss this.
Do you want to look at Nairobi as being entirely on its own? It's a different animal. If you do that, I agree with you. Nairobi is a completely different animal. Remove Nairobi from the equation. All the others, their challenges, the challenges they face, the problems they face, is such that you cannot. If the national government chooses to, they'll frustrate you. You'll go nowhere. That is the way things are on the ground. The constitution anticipated something entirely different based on where it was borrowed from. Where these states here, for example, here in the US, these fellows can run their own affairs. At least 60% of what they do is they can depend on themselves. It's the opposite on the other side. In Kenya, it is the opposite. Take for example, you see most of the so-called GDP on the taxpayers. Remove Nairobi from the equation. Where will the national government be? Nowhere. Nowhere. Remove Nairobi, maybe, and a little bit of Mombasa. Where would the national government be? Nowhere. That tells you the sort of control that the national government have on what happens economically in the entire country. Almost 95% of the remaining counties have zero revenue. Zero revenue. The entire, that's why sometime last year, you remember the doctors going on strike. I did give that example here earlier. The doctors going on strike. Why? Because the government was frustrating, the national government was frustrating them from paying their own doctors so that they make noise and have the county governments run into trouble with the electorate. Now, those are the challenges. The logistics of challenging and disbursing monies to the county governments is still a challenge, as much as the constitution entitles them to 15%. The truth of the matter is that these fellows dictate. Sometimes you find like development funds, they are released when the financial year is coming to an end, deliberately. So you find that for the county governments to run properly, as much as was envisaged in the constitution, they have almost 80% of their logistics and doings still dependent and controlled entirely with the national government. And that is why the current president is still in charge. He can frustrate a county to zero. There's nothing, very little you can do because of KRA. Because of KRA. Here in the states, the story is entirely different. These people have sufficient revenue to run their affairs and just topped up a little by the national government. Now, that is the biggest difference that is there. So you are a governor, and what have you, accounting on paper, but on the grounds, it is still the old worshipping of the national government that is going on. Now, you have to somehow strike a balance here, whereby you are able to prick the national government so that you run your issues the way they say. What does the ground say? The ground will be saying that you have failed, and they don't want to hear that you have been failed by the national government. No, they are saying that you are a governor, you should be in charge. Anyway, that is what I wanted to point out on that. There is the issue of the informal, the 2.8 trillion that this informal sector, that the current government want to get from the informal sector. And then you raised up the issue of presumptive tax. Presumptive tax is normally, basically, a good tax system is based on actual figures. Like, let's say you earn so much, so we know the exact amount you earn, and we can come around with a formula to get the tax as expected based on the tax formula. Presumptive tax is what they want to use on the informal sector because they are diverse. And what simple formula can you use? Presumptive in taxation basically is averaging. The same way they are doing with the rental income. As I said here earlier, they are trying to say that if your annual rental income is less than 10 million, they just think of a figure, 10%. 10% of gross. We don't care what else are the details in there. Now, this is the approach they want to use for the informal sector. Now, the biggest challenge has always been, where is the data on your trading activities? Now, for whatever reason, I do not know whether the law will allow them to get away with it. Accessing people's M-Pesa, as far as I'm concerned, is invading people's privacy, and basically it is illegal. It is illegal. Now, this is what they are going to use. They want to use people's M-Pesa to come up with some data which they can base the average tax on, this so-called presumptive tax. Now, you are not here earlier on when I was saying that the danger in getting the information from Safaricom is too double-edged, in the sense that when I pay Julia, Julia is the one who is on the ASLA thing. They are using the ASLA thing to access your statements and transactions. Now, based on the transactions they are able to access, they are going to do averaging. After all, ASLA is supposed to be for business. You remember, ASLA fund is supposed to be for business. And the idea that the reason why they are taking a percentage they call a saving is so that they have authentic saving data information on the trader. You are the trader now. So the more you take, Chaka, you said you have taken it 4 times. The more you take, the more we are going to be using an average to say that, okay, on average, those transactions are supposed to be the information or the data regarding your trading activities. And based on that, now we'll have the presumptive tax. They may say on every 500 you get, we can tax you 0.2% or 0.5% as an average and roll it around across the board. Now, according to me, at some level, they are going to be dealing with the turnover. They are going to use that turnover, your so-called repeated borrowing, to represent your turnover over a period of time. And based on that, they are going to work out a formula or a figure on how to tax you. They are likely to come out with across the board, let's go in the informal sector, presumptive tax based on turnover, based on how many times you keep borrowing, and then just call it the some 0.08%, 0.000 something percent, and roll it across the board. And remember, they are pretending that they are saving for you something. So in other words, in the event that you are going to be defaulting, they have somewhere an account already where they'll be accessing to get their call it advanced tax or whatever it is. And earlier on, I had predicted here that this so-called saving may well turn around to be an advanced tax. Based on having watched you over a period, we come up with the average tax, which I believe is the presumptive tax that they are referring to. I wanted to comment about Chebukati and this inquiry thing. Now, Rich, when you are not there, I did indicate that you are saying that you know how the elections were rigged, how the election was stolen. But remember, that allegation is not acceptable. The difference with this whistleblowing thing is that the whistleblowers have gotten hard evidence, which they can use, which can be used by the people who engaged them. And earlier on, Richie, I did give the example of the Scotland Yard. You remember what the Scotland Yard did in Kenya when they were investigating the death of the Robert Ouko? Now, I had indicated here that the organization which has come up with these revelations have done some investigation, more or less the same way the Scotland Yard were investigating the death of Robert Ouko. And they are like an audit firm, just like KPMG. They were commissioned and they are being paid for this. And I did say here, they are not a wash anything. You can rely on their findings because they are authentic, because it is from authentic information obtained from actual information at IEBC. Never mind how that got out of IEBC. But the truth is they got information, authentic information from IEBC, which they have gone over. They have done further investigation and they have found out the original information, and they have come to the conclusion, they have audited basically that election results, and they have found out that Baba had 8 million votes, Ruto had 5 million votes. And they are willing and ready to share with you that information. Now, that is how worrying it is. come to the issue of you are asking why is the president still talking about Chebukati the hero, Chebukati did this, they want to kill Chebukati. One of the reasons why he cannot proceed to do that inquiry, because remember this so-called information which have been tabulated by these whistleblowers, that this investigative company, it may well turn up at that inquiry. And if it is authentic, the way we believe it is, do you see them that they may be opening a Pandora's box? So protecting Chebukati, the best way may be not to go near that inquiry, because that information may be forced to be revealed there. People may appear there with the same information, and they may actually be opening a Pandora's box on what exactly happened on the elections day. On that official platform, a commission of inquiry constituted by the president himself. I'm sure you may not be willing to go that route. Thank you.
Penya Gaka alikuwa ameinua mkono lakini naona amepotea. Kuseo, there's some information I want to pass to you. I'm not aware if you have the information, or perhaps maybe it's a slip of the tongue. I want to tell you like this. In the United States, let me give you an example for one state, New Mexico. New Mexico depends on the federal government 100%. Kentucky, which is one of the poorest states, gets funding from the federal government to an average of about, let me look at the data here, around 36% of the budget of Kentucky comes from the federal government. And many other states, I can go ahead and mention so many others, of which najua hata tutamaliza sahi. But what I was saying is this. I have never seen a governor, whether from a blue state or a red state, go to beg the way we want to normalize begging in the Republic of Kenya.
Hello.
Yes, Ben. We can hear you.
Well, man, I've been dying to answer that question.
Sure. Go ahead. Let me give you time.
All the states do that every day. Dos Santos in Florida just got hired by Trump, and Trump gave him all the money. I mean, all the Democratic, like when Obama was president. In the United States, my friend, I can give you example after example after example. Don't use, I mean, it's understandable that you don't like, Ruto, but the states, wherever they, like the Republican was, all the Republican states will get whatever they want. When Obama was president, New York, California, they got everything that they were asking for. So this is the constitution in Kenya was copied from America. That is the worst. But I will answer one question, because I see you guys are talking a lot. But I want to say this. Kuseo answered the question of the taxes. I mean, the shortages of the financing of the government. What they call it?
Deficit.
Yeah, the deficit. Yes. Thank you very much, Kuseo. The deficit is everywhere in the world. The only person who was balancing the budget, the way you guys want to balance the budget in Kenya, was Germany with Angela Merkel, and with America with Clinton. I don't think even Obama got there. Just last week, Makiadi, they were raising the ceiling for the government so that the government of the United States can keep borrowing. So, my friends, when you say some of these things, yes, in a Kenyan situation, we are where we are. The Republican, the UDA are doing what they are doing. The economic theory that you guys keep on talking is an economic theory that was written by everybody, by the common hustler. But the only thing, Makiadi, I will understand, Kuseo, I will understand with you and agree. If the corruption continues, all that budget doesn't mean anything. Lastly, I could agree with Kioni. When he went with the president and his group, when he gave a speech in the Chatham House, we thought he was playing. But when he says that he wants to produce a government, an opposition party, he wants to give his opposition, that's wrong. Even Raila said it, and I don't like Raila, but I agree with him on this one. Because you have to change the constitution to be like England, which is a parliamentary democracy. But a presidential democracy like in the United States, even now, we say you don't know who is going to be the Republican leader. As of right now, Trump is ahead in the Republican Party. But you have to move to the center so that you can win. So you don't know. And when Clinton took over, it was the same thing. Obama came from nowhere, beat people like Kennedy's, Biden, Miss Clinton, all those.